my zone. Let me into my zone. Let me into my zone. Please don't let me in. Gonna play that. Take you down, I'ma say that. I need me a couple dollars. Telling you now, this payback. So I play that. Ask them now, what's sage at? I've been going to the top and I got what they not, so I know that they hate that. But I'm on that. All these lanes gonna zone out. And all these lanes gonna tell you what I did and they twist and they bust till I fall out. But I know that, so I keep what I'm doing cause I own that. And I stay in the lab and I kill everything, but I don't ever move, I'm a call that. So I'm finally back in my home. I'm working like start off, they swear at me a crime. Two hands for my phone, now this nigga dead, that's home. Ballin' can't beat me up cause I'm back in my zone now.
Having a great strap, and almost banging wheels.
Cause I'm back in my zone now.
Don't get greedy, no way. That's good, settle down.
Everybody up. They make their way. And again, left-hand lane in the lead there. Oh, the left-hand lane's in the lead. Miller's in the lead. They cross the line. The Bentley gets ahead. Side by side they go. Both of them line astern there. Through the first kink into the first left-hander. The Audi chasing down 3 abreast now. They're going to make their way into the first corner. Who's going to get that first left-hander? The Aston has a look down the inside. The Bentley tries to close the door. Isherwood in the lead as they go through the right-hander. Now the Bentley slots into first position. Aston Martin right behind, second Aston in third position there. And Roots going down to 5th place. Looks like a 4th place at the moment in the Audi over there.
We had a big accident in the back, probably in about P10. One of the Porsches got tagged under braking, changing lane under braking, but putting so hopefully we get a replay on that. But yeah, again, it seems like, you know, there's a bit of racecraft in where you position your car in that box, because that would obviously, there's a replay. Oh, that's a big hit. Look at 4 or 5 cars.
Oh, there's many of them getting straight into the pits they go, and that's their race round. And what a disappointing start to a 50-minute race as the Bentley now starts to edge away. And look at that, in the lead he goes, half a second at least, in the lead already as Miller tries to chase him down there. Sure, it's a big car, but
Ernest, I'll give you straight from the driver's mouth. You know, when we chatted with Jordan, that's what a lot of people think. Is that it's a heavy car on tyres because of its size. It actually looks after its tyres really well. And that's where they've had a lot of advantage in races in terms of how many more laps they can put in before needing to change. So it actually does.
Close call there for one of the Audis. He gets overtaken and makes a mistake, almost goes into the wall there. Gets close to one of the Porsches as well, tries to defend. That's Dievold Swanepoel there in the number 10 Audi. Number 46 Audi now in 10th place, losing what looks like 2 positions there, unfortunately. Tyson, as you were saying earlier on, Marius tries to now get that position back and does. And gets that 1 position back from the Porsche. Porsche gets harassed by what looks like a Lexus over there as well.
I love that aerial shot. It really gives you a good perspective. You can also see what's happening where guys start making their moves from a little bit further back, you know?
Yeah, our eye in the sky there. Wow.
2 laps. He's only racing himself at this stage. This is what we want to see.
This is where the action's at. A few Audis in the mix. They're fighting each other off and holding off the Porsche and Lexus over there. Ferrari also further back. But the battle continues here between these Audis, very close. And it's anybody's race now as these guys have just swapped positions. And the number 46 Audi lunging forward there gives him a bit of a touch. I think there was a bit of contact there as he now tries to go inside on the top of Lukop, down towards the mine shop, gets the position. And Swanepoel tries to close the door. Swanepoel goes back down the inside now. No, they touch. And the Porsche in the background, they're losing it. Into the wall goes the Porsche. And that Porsche is out of that race by the looks of it. Lots of action further down the field as once again they touch and all 3 Audis connect with each other. The Lexus getting involved there. Oh my goodness me, carnage further down. But one car that seems to be coming out on top of all of this is the number 46 Audi of Swanepoel.
Because that is what is more important. That's what I love about these old circuits. You know, I get annoyed. I mean, I know we're going to Paul Ricard later on in the season.
Not your favorite.
Yeah, I just hate these Harriman Tilke computer designed circuits where, I mean, it could be just a parking lot in a shopping center that they've just put lines on. You know, these old tracks followed contours.
There's a battle happening further back between the Porsches as one of the Porsches gets overtaken there. Man, there's so many little tussles happening over here. And as you said, Marius, this circuit allows for that. It allows for the nuance of each corner to be exploited and for the drivers that are good at exploiting those nuances to be able to get that.
I ended up in the sand at turn 1. Went in far too hot on cold tires. But
Yeah, that's great.
older is that through those S's over that climb, that blind, and you don't know where one of it ducks off to the left. It's an amazing circuit, but so much character and heritage on those old tracks. I did a few driven Zandvoort as well, which just looks amazing. I haven't had the privilege either.
Well, we've got 12 rounds this season and we'll be hitting all over the world. I think somebody spun out further back as well. We've got eyes on Michael Heschler, who in practice was looking good this week in the Audi, but now on a relatively slow pace, 144s and 145s. That's not going to cut it in this group. He's right at the back of the grid at the moment, 24th position.
I wonder who we lost there. If that was Nickel in the Merc that went off. It's caught a glimpse of that in the background.
Yeah, it looks like it. It looks like it was either Nickel or Hill. Somebody's gone off there in the background, but further down the grid as this tussle continues now. And as we said earlier on, it doesn't matter where you're racing, you've always got to race in this field. Oh, the Ferrari runs really wide, getting some pressure there from Heschler. And the Ferrari now the inside, but Heschler's going to go all the way around the outside to reclaim that position.
We can see why Jonathan's been so quiet. He's been issuing out some got a 15-second that gets added to the time at the end of the race.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you must also, I mean, like when I chatted to him, the best thing is, I mean, like if things continue like this, they could be the only guys with a race win this year. You know, if you consider how they started in Bathurst and then there was no round 2. So,
Yeah, that is true, eh?
It's true.
We were actually
The
talking about
championship
that the
could
other
be
day.
over.
I mean, you start with your first race, you win it, and that might be the only race you actually race this year.
Yeah, that's such an interesting time. Oh, the Ferrari goes straight over the curbs there, tries to get past. These guys are really going quite wild as they head now into Leeuwkop, now coming towards the mine shot. Ferrari trying to have another look down the inside, losing that position again. And this is a battle with snow. And I think that's Gleed there in 16th position. But Gleed's already got a 20-second penalty as Ferrari goes past him there into 16th position.
There's just thinking about Bathurst and just Sterling Mark.
That Porsche does seem to have been losing pace over the course of this race and now getting caught by a car that seems to be picking up pace on the course of this race as the Bentley comes through. Now the last couple of sections are the final corner for the Bentley.
Well done.
And, is the checkered flag out? Let's have a look and see if the checkered flag is out. The Bentley weaves side to side. He goes up to the wall. The flag is out. The Bentley crosses the line full 15 seconds ahead of Miller, effectively 30 seconds ahead of Miller because of that penalty. And the Bentley takes first position as we look at the battle for what is fourth place on track. Oh, side by side they go. The Audi, the Porsche and the Mercedes-Benz side by side. I think the Mercedes-Benz might have this one. Porsche fights him off. That is for position. A fantastic move there by Duggan in the Porsche to maintain fourth position, which could promote him to third, depending on the penalties over there. They cross the line.
Please, can I see that again? Because that is commitment. Cars do not go through cheetah together.
Like that. They do not.
Nice.
That was insane stuff from Duggan in the Porsche there. Very well done to him for maintaining position.
But I think just a round of applause to both Duggan and Hubert there, because they both gave each other space and that they both could do that. So well done. That's solid driving.
Yeah, that could have been the end of both of their races, and that would have ended. Is about to start. Side by side, Issa does a good start there. Issa's in the lead. He's got the outside line for the first left-hander. Oliphant starting to fall behind now. Patterson catching up. Heineke also in the mix there. Issa goes defensive right down the inside there. He's going to take that inside line and keep it there. We've got the number 5 car trying to dive down the inside. Oh, number 5 car goes very deep. Knocks what looks like Patterson a little bit wide. They touch, but it's not too much carnage as they make their way through safely the first corner.
Geez, I want to find out who it was that dived, curb and everything on the inside, really muscling in and gaining a few positions. We couldn't actually see who that was. One of the Porsches.
I think it was the first
Another
they
one
just
in the
hit the
wall there.
wall. Yeah.
There's some action over there.
Looking on the replay on the inside, it was a red Porsche.
One of the red Porsches there. And just
Oh.
after that was another incident as Essa starts to pull up a slight lead.
I suppose Crowthorne's become a bit like that, turn one now.
Oh, Bashir tries to look down the inside there. Oh, he gives him a touch. Gives Ensland a touch. Oh my goodness me, Bashir. Ooh, with a slight nudge there. I'm wondering what Jonathan Bentz is going to have to say about that.
Ensland's fault, to be fair.
Why do you say that?
Because he saw that the maneuver was coming and he tried to close the door. And
Was he next to him though, Taz? That's what I mean. I look at that.
yeah, it's hard to say, but you can't really change lanes under braking. I mean, that guy's already committed to the move.
That was close. I'm interested to see what the team on the steward's desk have to say about this.
I've got 38 minutes to go. It's a long time still, and critical is to score points. So
Just look at that pace. Look at that pace. You can clearly see Ensland is head and shoulders above these guys here down in 16th position. He's so easily catching up, and through the S's now bouncing over those curves as he tries to get past the number 2 Porsche on Buck over here. As Buck tries to go on the outside, Ensland has a look down the inside and easily gets past. This is some good racing up further down the grid here. These guys are really close to each other, and the move is going to come soon. Where do you think the best place will be to do that move, Tasman?
Probably now at the top of West Bank.
Let's see, he's got the
But
run.
he's already gone defensive.
He's got the run. He's gone defensive, but the Porsche's got the run so far. Porsche breaks
Yeah,
very
he can
late. He's
still
got the
try around
outside.
his outside.
Ooh, he's going around the outside. Beautifully done so far. Can he keep it though? As they make their way down the mine shaft, the Porsche's right next to the Ferrari now. We can't see the Ferrari's nose is coming out in front as they're going through the mine shaft side by side. Who's going to back out as they come into the right hand? And now the Porsche's got the line. The Ferrari holding on. They're late on the brakes for the Porsche. It's very close side by side. Fantastic racing here. But the Ferrari makes a mistake and now gets overtaken by 2 Porsches. 2 Porsches now getting past the Ferrari, and that is what it's about. Some fantastic racing here. Mistake
That was
there
really
being made.
nice from the Ferrari, though. He left him really nice room.
I don't think he's going to think that was a nice move, though. He just gave up 2 positions.
Oh, he didn't give it up. He tried.
Gave 2 positions there, unfortunately, as Wesley Fadden now starts to gallop into the distance.
But it can happen when they're under so much pressure, so...
This is a high stress environment. I'm sure you know all about this with regard to the Polo Cup guys. It's so close for those guys where it's like this for the entire race.
yeah.
Ooh, he has a look down the inside. Leslie has a look down the inside there, and he gets it so far. Side by side they go. Now McCall on the outside of him as they go through the next corner. McCall still got position though. I think McCall might have the advantage through the right hand. And McCall cuts across the front of him, and this is the sausage over there, both of them. And now we've got Bashir Jadwan watching all of this take place and thinking to himself, keep going, guys, keep going. This is what I need. This is what I need to claw my way back. As Bashir Jadwat comes all the way from the back of the midfield to now what looks like what could be a podium position if he plays his cards right.
Oh, he might as well just sit there and wait for the action to fold in front of him.
And the action continues to unfold as Leslie outbreaks himself, tries to go over there. Overtake maneuver so close now, Bashir. We saw what he did earlier, holding back earlier through the same section, and he manages to get 1 position back just by biding his time. They're so right there. Tasman, he bided his time there, waited for the moment, and simply snatched that position away. Bumper of that Porsche there. They go through the right hander now. The last left-hander coming up before the start finish. We've got 7 minutes of racing left, and he's going to try and get past. This is for 6th position. And the Audi, the Porsche, a little bit understeer through that corner there. Look at the pace on the straights of this Porsche. I think the Porsche's got a bit of extra legs down the straight.
Oh, look, I mean, I think he'll do the exact same move again. I don't think that's wrong. I think it's his defensive line through.
Oh, the Audi, he sells him the dummy, goes down the inside, gets the position, sells him the dummy there, he buys it. And the Audi gets past. A beautiful job there from Versace in the only Audi in the top 10, as the Lamborghini now also has a look. And Audi goes defensive and no! He crashes. Oh my goodness, the Audi of Versace takes out Claessens as well. And oh my goodness me, he takes them both out in what was clearly a racing incident. They're pushing a little bit too hard, goes over the curbs, and Jonathan, you were saying earlier on, these Audis, they're composed until they're not. Oh, Bashir having a look down the inside. Now they go down the mine shaft. And Bashir trying to show him that he's there all the way to the edge of that curve. Now, here comes the mine shaft. This will be the last time they're going through here as that is Essa crossing the line. Essa takes the win, but the action continues here in third place. Oh, Bashir has a look down the inside. Bashir has a look down the inside, but is it going to be enough? It's not. And McCall keeps the third position as they go through the final section here. I think McCall might have done enough. He's just got to make sure he doesn't make a mistake into the final right-hander, left-hander this time. I've got to get that right. I've got to get my left and my right correct for the following heat. McCall goes to the inside there, cuts across the track and gets third position. Judward comes in fourth place. Oliphant slots into fifth position. Guys, what a race this has been.
let me into my zone. Let me into my zone. Let me into my zone. Please don't let me in. Gonna play that, take you down, I'ma say that. I need me a couple dollars, selling you now, this payback. So I pay that, ask them now, what's say that. I've been going to the top and I got what they not, so I know that they hate that. But I'm on now, all these men can zone out, and all these men can tell you what I did, and they twist and they bust till I fall out. But I know that, so I keep what I'm doing cause I own that. And I stay in the lab and I kill everything, but I don't ever move, I'ma call that. So I'm finally back in my home. I'm working, I still know that's why I got me a drum. Put hands to my phone, now I just leave it there in that phone. Ballin', can't leave me up cause I'm back in my zone now.
Having a great strap and almost banging wheels.
Cause I'm back in my zone now.
Don't get greedy now, mate. That's good. Settle down.
And we are back with round 2 of the ATK Pro Series, brought to you by Assetto Corsa, Kyalami 9 Hours, and Motorsport South Africa MSA. And this time we are at Silverstone in what looks like a sunny UK today for the second round of the Pro Series. What a series it has been so far. So far, only one round down, and already the top guys are mixing it up. In the front, we've got pros, we've got pro-ams, and of course, we got the ams. And today, you're joining us for the pro-am and pro race. Silverstone is the place to be with many, many corners, and some say similar to Kyalami in South Africa, but we're going to find out today if those setups translate to the new circuit. As always, I'm joined by Marius Roberts, Tasman Pepper, and Jonathan Betts. Guys, Bents, how are you guys doing today? We'll start with you, Mr. Bents. How are you doing? How's the track looking? Are the drivers ready for action?
Definitely, the drivers looking fast already, and track is clear. Temperature, track temperature looks to be around 35, 36 degrees, and drivers are looking feisty today.
Marius, speaking of drivers, you were mentioning that a lot of the guys have now upgraded to the Pro and Pro-Am class. And it seems to me that you're finally starting to get these personalities, to get to know these personalities. The good guys are starting to filter through.
So before we get to that, can we just say, Jonathan, it's been a tough week for him. You know, he obviously helps us from a technical perspective, and then he also managing the conduct of the racing drivers, and that's stressful because I don't know if you know, but after last week's race, he actually ended up in hospital. That's how seriously
this can get to, as we call, play serious. Yeah, the guys play seriously. Yeah.
Jonathan, I'm glad you're with us. That appendix, you don't need it, so don't stress about it. You're good.
It's gone. I've got the battle scars to prove it.
But just Ernest, back to what you were saying. I've been kind of following what's been going on, and saw in that AM race last week at Kyalami, there were some guys that really were putting some good times. You remember Bruno Cadillo ran away with it, and what's interesting to see now, looking at the seedings for this race today, is that basically our top 4 from that amateur round are all straight into pros. So either they didn't arrive for the seeding last week, or they just didn't have their car set up right. But it's a big jump forward for them, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. A couple of other guys that have made the move up as well.
Yeah, we've got the grid in front of us. This is the Pro-Am class, and so far so good for what a mix of cars we've got here, Tasman. I mean, in the Pro class, we've got a bunch of Porsches, and we'll get to that shortly. But for the Pro-Am guys, we've got a nice mix of cars up the front.
Yeah, it's always nice to see a nice selection of different cars. It always makes for interesting racing. But yeah, I'm pretty stoked that it's not often you get to see a sunny UK, isn't it? So,
yeah, indeed.
The thing is, often I've been there, it hasn't been raining. So
that's the thing. People say summer's on a Wednesday this year in the UK, but today it seems to be they got lucky. They got it on a Sunday, and I know some of us are hoping for a wet race. I'm sure we're going to see one of those later on in the season. But for now, we've got sunny Silverstone to look forward to. Tasman, you've been to this track. What is this track like?
I've been there, but I've actually never raced it. So I have done some online racing on the track. It's a very technical track, actually, because a lot of corners flow into each other. So if you mess up the first sector of that little section of corners, it messes you around a lot on time. So It's very important to get from one sequence into the next without making too many faults. Otherwise,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's the kind of track that flows similar to Kyalami, as we were saying last week. And as we said, we've got a mix of cars. You've got Lexus, Bentley, Porsche, Bentley, Ferrari, Lamborghini somewhere in there. Audi surprisingly further down in 12th position. And these guys, as we said, this is their qualifying, or at least their qualifying positions for this race, if I'm not mistaken. And we're going to be going into the...
Sorry, Ernest, that's their seeding.
standings. Okay, we got the standings, yeah.
Here's what happened yesterday. Obviously, the seeding run to figure out who's going to go into amateur, pro-am, and pro. So, Bird King was obviously the quickest there in the Lexus. Now, we didn't see him last weekend, so he's obviously missed round one, but looked to have some really good pace.
Unbelievable. If he's missed round one, he's going to come in guns blazing for the second round. And as you said, Mario, so we're heading into the qualifying for these guys shortly. And it's going to be a mix up front there. I'm wondering what's going to happen into that first corner. Are these guys going to keep it clean? We heard that the amateur guys most certainly did not keep it clean. We're going to see if these guys are going to be able to do that.
Yes, it's a really tricky track. Before we get to the standings, it's me, what Taz is saying is true in terms of fast and flowing and corners linking up. This used to be an airfield from the Second World War, so it's flat. That's what makes it so difficult. The contrast between Kyalami last week with all the undulations, everything is flat, and it's very difficult to see the turn-in points for the corners. So you've really got to get to know this track well.
Yeah, it's really insane. Corners like cops, almost flat out. The guys are going so fast through there. And as you say, unsighted. And you've just got to commit and go through it. And it's so difficult to do that in a simulator versus when the real world, you got a whole bunch of references. These guys have to dial in with mostly the feeling through their hands and their eyes. And they've been able to do it. And so far, the man to beat this season is Zahir Essa in the top spot there with 45 points. I mean, he's just looked unstoppable at this stage. And he's right up front in yesterday's seeding session.
Yeah, he looks like he's on it again here at Silverstone. So I think he is going to be the one to chase the entire championship. But it's still early days, so we can't exactly talk now just yet. There's still a race later on to go, but I think he is definitely going to be the man to keep an eye on.
Jordan Absmeer right behind him in second position there, 3 points down. But that's what I really like about this point system is that even though Zahir's won a race, Jordan right behind him there, the points gap is still very small, and top three guys 5 points in it. So anybody can make a mistake and you're out of the running, or you drop right down, or you catch up.
Ernest, I chatted with Jason a little bit earlier today, and he was saying, listen, Zahir is the guy to beat. And I mean, I think he's got 0.4 of a gap over second place during the seeding run. He was just saying, in qualifying, anything can happen, and for him, it's about trying to get next to him and having a run into turn one through Abbey, which is a right-hander, and game on. But he literally is the man to beat at the moment, and I think everyone else is playing catch-up. But like you said, it's a long season. It's 12 rounds, and this is only round 2. So
here we go. Well, further down, we got McCall in third place. Porsche, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for Porsche so far. Now, Jonathan, you said that sooner or later the advantage should shift. We know that Silverstone is very similar to Kyalami. It hasn't shifted yet. Yeah. I don't think it will today. When do you think that shift is going to take place? Today,
the shift won't happen. Wow, I'm not committing to that. I think, however, though, judging by the seeding yesterday, we've got an Audi a lot closer to the top than we had at Kyalami. Here, looking at free practice in Pro-Am, we have 2 Porsches near the top, but I think we're looking at Bentley Aston today.
Oh, well, let's see how it goes. Well, folks, we're going to go to an ad break. We'll be right back after this.
Yeah. Siege. Riley. Taz. Yeah. Set me free and give me death, there ain't no other choices. When I lay down and go to sleep, I keep on hearing voices. Little whispers in my head, man, is you fake or loyal? Find no water, death is sign, or baby, pick your poison. These little demons living underneath my bed, creeping. Know the real monster lives above them all, sleeping. That subtle breathing in your closet every single evening. Thought you never see me again, looks can be deceiving. When they hear the sound of the drum, they'll be saying, oh Lord, here they come. Yeah, here we come.
We take play seriously. That's why ATK chooses Omen by HP and Windows 10.
Here we come.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, as we join Abo now on board in the Porsche. He is currently 12th position and qualifying is about to start. Now, qualifying just has started. We are second into qualifying here as our warmed his tires up and gets ready for his first flying lap. Who's going to take the top spot, guys? What do you guys think?
I think we're going to have a great performance from Junior McCall today. Doing fantastic in the AM race last week at Kyalami. I think we're going to see some great pace from him. He's probably, if he can keep it all together for the entire race, he's my man.
Junior McCall hasn't set the lap time yet. We're going to have to wait and see. So far in the yesterday's seeding race, we saw the Bentley in second position. We got the Lexus up front, and it's nice to see a nice mix of cars in this Pro-Am series. In the Pro Series, it's a Porsche affair, but here today, for these guys, it's not. It's a lot more of a mixed affair, and I like that. I like the fact that we've got a whole bunch of cars vying for that first position as we complete the first 2 minutes of qualifying now, and hopefully soon we're going to get somebody setting that benchmark lap times. We've got eyes once again here on Bo in the number 191 Porsche. Makes it through into the tight left-hander now. Whew. So far, so good. No incidents so far. The guys are dialing in, and these guys are quite professional out there. We've seen it last week's racing. Good, clean, fast racing from most of the guys on the grid.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised at how clean everyone actually was. There wasn't too much trouble on track.
Yeah,
but I think we might see a little bit more this weekend.
I think because the guys obviously don't necessarily know the circuit as well as they do Kyalami, and very, very easy to get one part of the corner wrong that compromises you in the next corner. I think there's going to be, the guys struggle with this track because it's a very tricky track to nail it perfectly for one whole qualifying lap. So many sectors you've got to get right.
Etienne Claire there in the Aston Martin. Oh, that car looks so good. So very good. As he makes his way through now, he's in second position according to the chart over there, but times haven't counted yet. We're still waiting for someone to set the time so that we can see.
He won't be too happy though. If you remember, Etienne actually raced in the pros last week at Kyalami, so wasn't quick enough in seeding yesterday to put him back into pros. So with the guys thinking about championship points here, what he's got to do is make sure that he finishes the top 10 in Pro-Am to make sure he does score some points from this round. If you remember, they're looking at throwing away the two worst races out of the 12. So I was going to start looking at strategy like that. Maybe this will be one of the races that he'll want to rather throw away, being a Pro-Am race and not a pro race where he belongs.
Sure. You're probably right, and that would mean that he's going to need to get back into the mix for the next one, and this must be a knock to the confidence, or maybe it's lit a fire underneath him to try and compete for this race.
Well, it's certainly going to push him a little bit harder, knowing that everyone's stepping up their game into each next round that's coming up. So maybe his car's just not as competitive at this track. We obviously don't know the different setups and stuff that are there. Maybe he's just struggling with setup.
Well, this track is certainly challenging. He makes his way through Woodcote now onto that back section and now through Cops. One of the corners almost flat out. He's going to lift off the gas. They breathe through, back on the power again. And this is one of those sections we were talking about last week where the guys have to make sure they maintain momentum now through Maggots now and then into Beckett's. And he has to make sure he maintains momentum here. Any pace lost here is pace lost all the way through this first half of the circuit. So what a challenging
track. One of the hardest sequences on the track, actually, because if if you mess up that last little bit, you're losing all the speed down this back straight.
Yeah, as they say, the most important corner is the one before the longest straight. And the Chapel Curve and Beckett's definitely two of the most important corners in motorsport as Kleb makes his way through now towards the...
Tasman, it's quite interesting what you said though about Etienne and maybe the car not being that well suited for the track. Just having a look now, there's not one Aston Martin represented in the Pro class, but we've got four running in Pro-Am. So maybe it just didn't have the pace to take that step up, but it's going to be a good Aston battle in this Pro-Am race.
Yes.
Yeah, that is interesting, yeah.
Very nice car to look at there as we see Miller now in front there with a 159.0, and Kleb, our man on the chase there, just 0.3 of a second down. And then behind him, Junior McCall there in the Porsche. So far we got Miller up front. The Aston front row looks like it.
Yeah,
so
it's a
far.
1-2 at the moment. But Johnny Miller was quick last week too, so we know he's got good pace. He's got good racecraft, so it's just like putting a good lap time together in qualifying.
So now, if we look at yesterday's seeding qualification for today, if we look at their lap times from yesterday, it can give you a good basis of where these drivers are at with their times and how much they actually still need to knock off that 159.0. Hesse yesterday got a 156.2. And then P2 was, I think, a 156.9. So
There's 0.45 in it, if I remember.
Yeah, so it's very, very close up at the top with the first 2 or 3 guys, and then quite a few guys in the 57s, and then everybody else in the 58s. So I expect today that we should see 58s at the top here. Anything faster than that, they really shouldn't be in this division.
Yeah,
Jonathan,
there we go. Speaking of which, Junior McCall just did a 158.5. Junior McCall with a 158.5 and now sends it to the pits. Sorry, Tasman, you were saying?
Sorry, I was going to ask Jonathan, were the track conditions and everything very similar yesterday to what they got today? Okay.
Yes, exactly the same, yeah.
Yeah, so then there's a lot of time in it. I'm just looking at the scores for Pro-Am, and as you say, 156 right up front. Only 2 gentlemen getting in the 156, the rest in the 157s and 58s. And even last position in Pro class is in the 59. So these guys setting solid pace here, but it's just about getting the pace when it counts as King comes through in the Lexus, and it goes up into 4th position there.
What I'm excited about in this Pro-Am race is that going on what Jonathan was saying is how closely stacked the guys are. If you look at that seeding run yesterday, sure, they were doing 59s, but 9 of them were all doing 59s. Yes. Super close, the top 9. Because when you go to the pros, 1 or 2 of them that had the pace and the rest were kind of further back. So
yes.
I think we're in for a cracker race here. And I think Junior setting that 58, obviously coming up from amateur last week,
yes.
We thought he was quick enough to be running a class up. I think he's certainly set a really good benchmark time, because that literally is like 600s quicker than what anybody did in this category yesterday.
Yeah, and remember Leon Leroux last week was also one of the quicker guys. So him and Donnie Miller up front with Junior McCall. You know, this the Pro-Am series is not looking half bad at the moment, is it?
Pro-Am is definitely the mid-pack of the Formula One championship. That's where all the good racing is.
It's a great analogy, because I mean that is where the racing is. That's very cool. I'm not going to disagree with that. What is bothering me though is that Bentley, we know Jordan raced it in the actual E series a couple of weeks back. They actually won at Silverstone in the Bentley. And Jason's now finding himself way down the list. So he's definitely got a bit of work to do. He's not anywhere near the pace that he ran in seeding.
Yeah, but the Lexus was quickest yesterday, and so was the Bentley. Bentley was second fastest. So I think they've got some time to find, and I think they will be at the top of the pack just now.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking at the second Bentley now. And let's see, Lexus now. We're looking at the Lexus of Walker now. The 777 car, and another car that just looks amazing in 7th position. And it's such a pity this car's not doing too well in the Pro Series, but at least we get to see it here in the mid-pack, mixing it up. 7th position now. Yep, stays 7th, 0.8 of a second behind. And he is also now only 1 car so far Junior McCall in the 58, so half a second down is Miller. I'd love to see what Miller does on his next lap. They've still got 10 minutes of qualifying left. So still plenty qualifying left. And Junior McCall in the pits trying to get those changes in, try and go even faster. It's a good way, as you said, Jonathan, to gauge where you're at relative to the other drivers and the pro guys. So maybe an opportunity now for the guys to make some changes and just get their car as fast as possible for the next race if they're thinking of going to pro.
They've got a long season ahead of them, and you know, a lot of drivers will enter this knowing that they aren't Zahir Essa, they aren't Bashir Jadwat. So they're like, well, I mean, why enter something when you know you can't win? But it's about growth. It's about development. You'll never be the best driver in the world because you can always get better, and someone will always get better than you. So that's what racing is really about. I mean, look at the guys racing in AM. I mean, they don't even get points because they're not there yet. But you know, it's the development of this, and as we go along with more and more of these ATK championships, the goal is that, you know, the pace just drops through the field, and then we see a quality go through the field that, you know, is obviously an improvement. You know, the drivers need to learn to drive better. They need to learn to drive cleaner. So yeah, it's a culture thing that we need to basically breed into these communities.
Well, definitely being installed here as we work our way up the ranks. As we said, the AM class is run and done as we look at the corner breed here in the Pro AM class. And these guys definitely a step up and stepping up as he goes past the number 191 car there of Bao.
They made a bit of contact, actually.
Not good. That was supposed to be a clean overtake, no issues. These guys rubbing each other in the qualifying, and Bao now sticking it to him. Looks like a trying to now give it to him down the straight there. Are they gonna have? Are these guys trying to race in qualifying? What's going on here?
Well, Alton does come from Polar Cup, so
yeah, the Polar Cup guys have a little bit of a reputation there. Isn't that true, Tasman?
no, we're hard racers. That's all.
No, good and hard. Yeah. Number 3 car there coming through. Lots of Porsches all over the show here. Look at them through. Oh, an Audi comes into view in the background there. A little bit wide there. A little bit wide. Under the Pirelli bridge they go. And coming up to the Club S's here. I've actually been to this track and watched guys drive through here, and there's something about Silverstone, isn't there? There really just is. I've never actually driven on the track myself, but when it comes to these iconic tracks, and I know this one's a bit flatter than ours, all the history, every single race car driver that's ever been on the circuit, you're sharing a bit of a moment with him because they've done the same corners that you're doing, and that's what these simulators get to give us. You know, it's those of us that don't get to race overseas get to experience the next best thing, which certainly is a simulator such as this.
Yeah, listen, I mean, that's the thing. All of us as kids grow up dreaming to be racing drivers, and I mean, for Tasman, she's there. She's racing the best in the world at international circuits, but for the rest of us, I think that's the joy of sim racing. I mean, from an affordability perspective, even though we spoke last week about what guys are spending on their rigs and their equipment, it's still nowhere near what you're going to pay to be getting your butt strapped into a race car and to be taking on a season like this. Made worse with our rates of exchange, you know. So
even especially now.
You're not going to be racing overseas. And I think that is what's been for me so cool as well with the real racing drivers. I hate kind of using that term. Real racing drivers taking part in the sim racing now. It's so great for these guys to be able to put their skills and test themselves against guys that are at the top of the game in the real world.
Yeah, and it's a good showcase for some of the guys that might not get shown. I mean, Essa has got a history in single-seat racing. He raced Formula cars for a little bit, and you know, as with most of us, the racing dream ended at some point, and now he's doing this. So I think this is a good way for the guys to also showcase that there is some talent out there. Whether that turns into a real drive, we don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I for sure think that the top talent from this it's not should get recognized, but they are certainly worthy of being recognized in the real car if tested. It's not always the same. It doesn't always translate, but I've seen it over and over where guys with pace on simulators do in fact have real world pace. As the Ferrari comes through, the only Ferrari in the top 10 currently in 10th position. Currently in 10th position is the Skitter Ferrari now. That's Sean Skitter in, as we say, the only Ferrari on the grid.
Just to pick up, Ernest, on what you were saying, if you go back to kind of where it really all did start in terms of turning sim racing to real racing drivers, it was PlayStation with Gran Turismo and Luca Ordonez. I mean, I actually got to watch him race at the Le Mans 24 hour, and it was a gamer that kind of really went all the way. So I think quite interesting. We've got an interview that we'll play at a later stage with Vic Maharaj from MSA, Motorsport South Africa. It'd be great to see a series like this where the winner of the series ultimately gets into a drive in a real car, So I think there are plans underfoot to help our sim racers get a taste of what it is like in the real world as well, So that's awesome.
I think it will be well deserved, especially with this kind of talent pool that we have in front of us here. We've got a bunch of guys that are exceptionally quick, and the guys at the front of that, at the tip of that spear, are really that tip of the spear guys when it comes to sim racing. On board now, or at least watching Leon LaRue in the Aston Martin. They in third place. He did so well last week. Let's see how he does this time. He qualified right up near the front last week, but unfortunately fell back. And this time, let's see how he does. Currently in third position, 6/10 of a second down from Junior McCall. Donnie Miller there in second position. And between Leon LaRue and Donnie Miller and Isherwood. Isherwood also in the mix. Is nice to see him back. Isherwood in the Bentley, 7/10 of a second down. So the second, third, and fourth as well, sixth, are all separated by a few tenths of a second, with Junior McCall, the only one managing to separate himself.
The time that he sets, 30 session is actually quite an impressive lap time, because no one's really come.
Marius, you're a little bit. I'm trying to get the sentiment of what you're saying there, and I guess is that Junior McCall separated himself there with that pace in the 58s, and solidly in the 58s, with no one else managing to do that. Aston Martin gets a bit wiggly there as the LaRue makes his way through. And if you look at the standings, you can see on the screen they're all the way down till number 9 and 10, basically half a second in it between second and 10th position. This is going to be a sensational race as we make our way to the final few minutes of qualifying.
These Porsches look like they're in a league of their own again, though.
Indeed. But look, we've only got one Porsche in front here. With this group, with the Pro-Am guys, the Porsches are they're not running away with it as much as we see in the Pro category, thankfully. If I wanted to watch Porsche Cup, I would have tuned into that.
We got to wait for the next race.
It's going to be the Pro.
Yeah, the curtain race. Turns out the curtain race was the main event today. And so we're heading to Porsche Cup later on. But right now, it's the qualifying for Pro-Am, and we're on board with Leon LaRue now. At least watching Leon LaRue in the number 62. Aston Martin in third place now, but Junior McCall so far with a 158.5 in first position. Donnie Miller right behind him. Leon LaRue in third. Isherwood in fourth in the Bentley, the first of the Bentleys. Behind that, King in the Lexus. Cleb as well. Walker in another Lexus. And the first of the Porsches, or the second of the Porsches at least, in 8th position. Now the top spot does go to a Porsche though, and that is Junior McCall. And it does show that in the right hands, the Porsches do have incredible pace. Last minute of the qualifying now. As Aston Martin heads into Luffield now. This one of my favorite sections of the circuit right here, Cops Corner.
I think Junior's going to be caught in this qualifying.
Is that?
I don't think Junior's going to be caught in this qualifying.
Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like we are on board with LaRue there. Hopefully he can do something. Miller in second place there.
But no one's looked to come close to that at all. when we qualifying. Remember, we saw this in the amateur race last week. The five
Yes.
and ended up making a couple of mistakes in the race.
So the Rue there, as we said, we've got cameras on him, and nobody is within striking distance of Junior McCall. But will this be the lap? All eyes on Rue now. Let's see how he does as he goes through Stowe now. And the start-finish line is just a few corners away. This is the only chance he's going to get. They've still got 2 minutes to complete the lap. As makes his way through club now, coming towards the finish line. What will Leroux do? This is it. He has to get it. Runs nice and wide there. Does he get it? Leon Leroux
No.
stays in third position. Leon Leroux stays in third position. So it looks like the top three will remain as is pretty much. Junior McCall in first place, Miller in second, and Leroux in third. Isherwood there making up the top four. King in fifth. Kleb in sixth. Seabreed coming through in eighth. We're on board with Wild now in the number 76 Porsche. The third Porsche in the top 10. Still a minute of qualifying left, so there can be some changes now. The guys are really chasing down, but the pecking order has pretty much been established as of now.
Qualifying's done. That's just for them to complete those laps.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty much
done.
That is the lineup as we see it now. So
yeah.
Well, listen, I love the look of this of our grid, because it's going to be very different when we get to the pros. It's nice to see a variety of cars there. And we said it right in the beginning. We had 4 or 5 Astons.
King crosses the line there and drops Isherwood down to fifth place. So King manages on the last moment there, gets fourth position on the grid. Marius, that's it from us for qualifying for now. We'll be back after this with some racing. Here we go, folks.
Yeah. Siege. Riley. Taz. Yeah. Set me free and give me death, there ain't no other choices. When I lay down and go to sleep, I keep on hearing voices. Little whispers in my head, man, is you fake or loyal? Find no water, that's a sign of baby, pick your poison. These little demons living underneath my bed, creeping. Know the real monster lives above them all, sleeping. That subtle breathing in your closet every single evening. Thought you never see me again, looks can be deceiving. When they hear the sound of the drum, they'll be saying, oh Lord, here they come. Yeah, here we come.
We take play seriously. That's why ATK chooses Omen by HP and Windows 10.
Here we come.
And we are racing, ladies and gentlemen, 1 minute out. And how exciting does that not look, guys? I am looking at this right now. I am feeling the excitement as we look at a mixed grid of cars. It could be anybody's game. We saw this last week. And it was last week. We had to try and call this last week, Marius. We would have lost some bets.
I also didn't know any of the guys. So, now round 2, we're starting to identify who the pace guys are. There's a bit of consistency coming through. This is going to be a cracker race, because these guys were really, really close in the seeding runs. And the junior finding himself where he was last week on pole. Hopefully he can keep it together and come away with a race win. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, it's actually nice to see him back on the front row again.
Maybe it's good for his mental state as well. It's something he's obviously got to work on to try and keep his head together. And as we said, maybe there was some technical issues with his car, but at the same time, you seem the best able to drive around those technical issues. And to be the best, he's got to be able to learn that skill. So let's see if he can hold it together, hold the car together as the lights go out, and we now wait for the warm-up lap to commence. The guys are going to make their way around the circuit slowly.
I'll be very interested to see if in this race, if the guys in pole position and P2 are going to, be as honored as they were in Kyalami, because remember P2 was jumping the guys in P1 in most of the races.
It's was the only one in the third race not to do that. As we see Junior McCall leading the guys through the first, see the curve, the farm curve there. And slowly does it. The track looks, what's so scary looking. It's so flat, as you say, Marius. It's so narrow compared to Kyalami, and there's a lot of slippery grass on the edges. So if you're running wide here, it's a problem.
That's what I love. I mean, like I was bitching and moaning last week about the Harriman Tilke design tracks. And this is what I love here. If you exceed track limits, you punish because you're on the grass. Whereas all the new design tracks is just concrete. So you never really get punished for that. I love these old type of circuits. I think they're great.
Yeah, this one definitely punishes and rewards. And as we were saying early on, the sections are quite flowing through here. And you look, even just looking back from our eye in the sky here, you can see how the cars actually thread their way through these various corners. And that's what it is. You've got to maintain that momentum and keep the momentum up. And I think what many people don't understand at this level of racing, if you lose 1 or 2, 3 kilometers an hour, it's a meaningful difference. And the guys are at this level now chasing those 1, 2, or 3 k's an hour to get any sort of advantage from the competition.
Because you've got straightaways, like in the game with American Turkey, straights with heavy braking points. And I suppose, the one that everyone says about is obviously going down and hitting. There are quite a few different times through that corner. A lot of the time, the guys.
Porsche leading us through there. Marius, we just lost some audio there.
Marius going through a tunnel.
Through Cops here. This is going to be one of the corners to watch. One of my favorite corners in motorsport. Certainly the very fast right-hander here on the old start-finish line, at least the other start-finish line here at Silverstone Raceway. And they are going to be chasing each other hard and fast through that right-hand. Whoever commits the hardest through there gets the pace into Maggots, which is the next set of S's further up.
Always so confusing seeing the 2 different start-finish straights and remembering which one's for the GT3 cars and which one's for the F1 cars.
Indeed. And this time, I was actually sitting on that line a couple of years ago, and I heard a Formula One car rev up for the first time. And they don't sound like normal cars either, do they? They certainly don't sound like normal cars. And that's the thing, though. Hearing an actual car in the flesh is just amazing. And we now, for the first time this week, we can actually hear the engine sounds as well. Doesn't it just make the whole experience, though, doesn't it? I mean, watching this literally...
It does.
And hearing
it does, but I think that's what's also causing problem with our flipping commentary that's breaking up. So maybe we need to not hear the cars so we can hear ourselves, but we'll have to live with it.
Always sound better, don't they?
Yes, we can still hear that. We still can hear the audio, but I mean, I think maybe if we try pulling the car audio, we'll have some good commentary feed because we want to give you guys a good build up to this Pro-Am race.
Yeah, but then we got to listen to your voice the whole time, Marius.
You don't have to. You got a tough choice here. It's either your dad or it's me.
Okay, I'll take you.
Yay!
Okay, folks, we are lining up and we are about to go racing. Here we go. The first corner coming up now. I think we're in Woodcote at the moment. Yes, we are.
Drivers need to definitely make sure they're on the correct side of the track and not too far back. There, Miller's falling a bit back out of his position there. He might get into trouble for that.
Oh, pushing everybody back there. The guys are all bunched up. We got number 121 there, having a look down the middle as they cross the finish line. We have green flag racing, ladies and gentlemen. Green flag racing. Miller side by side with McCall. They almost touch through the first corner there. And that is Cops now into Maggot's left-hander, then right-hander. We've got McCall in front, Miller in second, third is LaRue. The standings pretty much the same now. We've got King there in fourth place, Isherwood in fifth. The standings still the same. First is Porsche, second is Aston, third is Aston, fourth is Lexus, looks like it. Yes,
See
and behind
the drive-through penalty for Miller, as I pointed out, he was out of position when the race started.
That's a disaster for Miller, but a fantastic news there for Junior, as another Aston has a look down the inside there. Miller LaRue has a look down the inside of Miller there. And behind that, we've got the Lexus chasing them down. The guys pretty much in the same order they started.
What do you do here? Do you go and do your drive-through straight away because the guys are all still bunched up? I would get it out the way.
Yeah, I think it's best to get your drive-throughs done and dusted so that you can get back on track and hopefully pick off the guys that are making the mistakes.
He must
Yeah,
be
it just
so
hurts
frustrated.
so much there in the early stages, like you say, with all the drivers so bunched up. You will literally be at the back of the track.
He must be so
back of the pack.
frustrated. So frustrated now. All of that hard work in qualifying, in seeding, and only to be messed up at the start line. Drive-through penalty. Is he going to serve it now as they come up into the loop now?
Yeah, Jonathan, what were you suggesting? Rather to go as long as you can. How many laps have they got? 3 laps to take their drive-through?
You have 3 laps to do it, but I mean, how much will the grid spread in 3 laps? It's a horrible situation, like whichever way you look at it.
It's a tough choice. And I was watching a race with the Van der Lindes, and he missed the drive-through penalty. I think it was Calvin Van der Linde missed the drive-through penalty.
Calvin.
And that was the end of that. And I mean, it's sim racing, but there's still a lot of preparation that goes in here as they make their way across the start-finish line to go for lap 2.
Those were the things that we actually spoke about last week with Jonathan explaining to us with the rolling start changes that Assetto Corsa have made, which weren't in place at that first race, and why Kelvin got qualified. Now with that rolling start, you've got that green box that you've got to keep your car in. If you remember last week, Junior got drumped. I mean, it should never have happened to him. So he was obviously a bit asleep. But this week, certainly on it and not making the same mistake again. And this is probably exactly what he needs now, because he would see that drive-through penalty. Now he knows there's got a bit of breathing space. Oh, action and carnage at the back.
Action at the back. That's one of the ATK cars there, that Porsche. I think that's Adja Bashir's teammate there, one of the ATK Porsches further down. We'll have to have a look and see who that was. And the Bentley, of course, in the mix there. That's a terrible shunt. I think that's going to be some terminal damage for those guys. Let's see if they make it back to the pits and are able to sort that out. We're still up front here with Miller and the Porsche in view, but slowly starting to edge away as they come up to complete another lap.
Well, Junior's had the pace over them in qualifying. So if he can just put his head down, not look in his mirrors too much, I think he can pull away and we can actually maybe see him win this race.
Yeah, let's see. I hope so. I mean, still young. There's a reason they call him Junior. And let's see if he can. He's the 12-year-old, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he is. It's crazy, eh?
Crazy. I mean, I have to check myself every time I say that, because 12 years old, currently in the lead of this race, going up against guys with many, many years of experience in motorsport, in sim racing. The Lexus has a look down the inside. In third position is that Lexus. And that's the highest we've seen. Highest position we've seen of the Lexus is recently, the Lexi recently, as King makes his way through there. Danny Miller.
Hearing you talk about Junior at 12, it just makes me laugh. I mean, Sheldon van der Linde celebrated a 21st birthday. He's like, yes, now I can finally officially rent a car. You know, it's like, it's just so crazy. You've got this like world champion racing driver. And crazy things. I mean, even like in the Polo Cup days, you know, they were racing and they didn't have licenses to drive cars. It's just nuts.
It just shows you, if you start them young, you've got to start them young. As we got eyes on Bernard King now in the Lexus, and what a beautiful car that is. The Motorex Lexus now coming through and in third position, chasing down the Aston Martin very hard there. Behind him, we got Kleb in the other Aston Martin, Etienne Kleb in the other Aston Martin, but not within striking distance. This Lexus having a solid look here at Miller, who has to do a drive-through penalty still.
I think he's got to do that now. If I'm on a lap count correctly, I think he's pretty much got to take his drive-through now. So if I was Bernard, I would just hang back and not get involved, because
Miller
Miller
makes a big mistake, and that gives everybody the opportunity to catch up. The two Aston. Oh no, the Aston touches Miller. The other Aston of Kleb, Etienne Kleb, touches Miller. They take each other out, and what a disappointing way to end there for Danny Miller. Etienne Kleb taking him out. That was not the plan, and the Lexus goes through into second position there. Ooh, not good. I wonder what happened there. Did Danny Miller slow down to try and get back into the pit lane? He was supposed to go in, as you said, rightly so. The Porsche takes evasive action. Oh no!
Oh man!
Miller collects the Audi of Roots there, and this is turning out. Oh, and Ferrari gets an NSX
That's
also.
Honda, yeah. Can I make a call here, Jonathan? He was trying to not sure where he's got to take his drive-through penalty, because I mean we're saying it's confusing with the two pit paddocks. Could that have been the case? Because he seemed to be floating around in no man's land.
Yeah.
He's kind of causing carnage throughout this
over the
field.
place. He needs to get that car off the track. He's trying to limp it back to the finish line and staying on the grass, but it's so dangerous. Looks like it. Even just keeping that car, trying to face that car in the right direction. Every time somebody comes past him, they have to take evasive action. There goes the Audi, way down the field now, and Leon was that Leon causing problems there, and you watch them touch. And through comes another car, collects him, bangs into the wall there.
Yeah, but he got a hard hit to the right front wheel there. I think that's why he can't turn that car at all. I think he's obviously gone and broken a lower control arm or something, because that car ain't going to be turning. That was a solid impact on the wheel.
And now he still has to come do the drive-through penalty. Now,
Miller's got a bit of a problem because, like you say, does he have another lap now?
Yeah,
because he's busy fixing his car. If he drives around again, he may get disqualified by the game. So let's keep an eye on that.
Where are they doing the drive-through? Is it through the old start-finish pit complex where the race started, or is it the Formula One paddock? I'm assuming it's going to be at their pits.
Yeah, at their pits. Yeah.
See, and that's, I think you can also get confused as a driver, you know?
I'm getting confused as a commentator here. I mean, if we were at the track, it's a different story, but we're looking at visuals here. And sometimes those start-finish lines look the same. Imagine sitting in the car, rounding the corner, and just for a split second, I mean, he's got a lot going on. He's got a lot on his mind. He knows he just cocked it up.
He's grumpy as all hell, and that's the thing. It's so easy to make mistakes like that. Oh, wow. Yeah, but I mean, the guy who's smiling, look at that 3.5 second lead Junior McCall's opened out while there's been carnage and mayhem behind him. He's just been able to put his head down and put some really good solid laps together. Tasman, that's exactly what you want in a situation like this. Why it's so important to qualify well and get out well, because there's always going to be mayhem and people falling over each other behind you.
Well, there's actually nothing better than watching carnage happen behind you.
Oh yeah.
While you're in the front, because you just know that, okay, if I just keep my head down and keep pushing forward, you know, I can open a decent gap.
Yes, moment.
It's like, yes, carry on doing what you guys are doing.
I'll see you guys in the paddock.
Yeah, so that's exactly it. So I think Junior is smiling at the moment, but you know, he can't get too excited because there's still 41 minutes left of this race. So there's still a lot that can still go on.
There's a lot happening further back as we see Noor Hendricks and Breed now mixing it up in the Porsche versus Ferrari battle. You're catching up to another Porsche of Bo is Noor Hendricks in that beautiful, that looks like a 488 if I'm not mistaken.
That's they run the 488s now.
883, that's a new one, yeah.
Fantastic cars.
What a good looking car. And it's such a pity that on this game we haven't seen much of the Ferraris up front, so we haven't seen them in action much, but now finally we get to see some racing happening here in the midfield of our Pro-Am category.
It's a nice little battle that with Alton and Cornet and Noor Hendricks. So I'm glad our race directors zoned in on that, because I think there's going to be some action here. As Tasman correctly said, I mean, Alton, he's lightning fast in Polo Cup cars, so nice to see him joining the series. He didn't race with us last weekend, so it's good to have a real driver that people can associate with mixing it up as well.
Yep,
but it also just shows you the difference in the sim racing versus your real car racing drivers. I mean, Alton's really fast in Polo Cup, and he's coming here and he's now dicing in the mid pack of with the sim guys. So there's a difference in.
I think there's a parallel. I've always used the analogy that real motorsport or driving a car in the real world versus a simulator, there are parallels that run parallel to each other. Sometimes they run close, like with these games where it's really, really good, and sometimes they run far, like with arcade games. But there still is a slight difference, as the Ferrari has a slight look down the inside. Oh no, makes a mistake! And Noor Hendricks makes a mistake while having a look there, and now has cost himself some space. And Noor Hendricks just chasing down Alton there, but not good enough. As behind him, the Porsche also now runs wide. And that race, what was supposed to be a nice three-way, has now separated a little bit, but I'm sure they'll catch up again shortly. But yeah, there are definitely differences, but who's able to make that adjustment and draw those parallel lines the closest? Those are the guys that we often see do well.
Taz, I think you beautifully described it last weekend, and it's worth talking about it again. the things you're just never going to feel in a simulator. You don't get that real world sensation and feeling of things. So it's going to take a driver a while to get used to that, to only dial in input from the steering, the force feedback wheel, because that's all you've really got.
And your eyes, that's it. There's no seat of the pants. There's no G-force, and it's difficult to sim. I've been on the motion simulators, and you can't simulate G-force. That's the thing. You cannot simulate G-force, and I think it's a bit difficult. But again, certain guys are able to go to that place, and often those are the guys that are very, very quick on the sim.
I think it's just about doing laps. Same as getting fast in a race car. You got to do laps and laps and laps. And I think it's the same with the sim stuff. So you eventually will become accustomed to it and get used to it. But it's just about it's all about seat time.
Seat time.
I think the learning curve to become good at sim racing is going to be quicker for a guy coming in with real racing experience, because you already know the racing lines, the braking points, and how to understand speed and what's going on. So that's why I think you'll find the racing drivers will pick this up pretty quickly.
Yeah, that race is taking place now as Noor Hendricks has another look. And the three of them are mixing it up properly now. Elton Bauer in the front, Noor Hendricks in just behind him, in 10th position, or in 9th position. In 10th, we've got Breed.
So he's probably made a mistake somewhere, because he had a nice little gap being down off that little incident. It's closed up again now. And so many opportunities for different lines, how to set your car up too. So this is really a hot battle.
Indeed. Ferrari now still in front. We're in car now with Breed in the Porsche at the back, number 003 car. They make their way down the straight now. This is going to be, it's anybody's game at this stage now. Any one of these guys can take the position from any one of the others. It's who's going to take make the move. Oh, here comes Breed now. He's going to have a look.
This is the trickiest part of the track. You can't overtake here, so you just got to get stuck in and make sure that you get good exit speed coming out of the last through Beckett's onto Chapel, and make sure you've then got that long run where you've got a good chance to overtake going into Stowe. So you're never going to overtake through that complex, but it's such a tricky one to get right.
And here comes that section now. Oh, look at that! Look at that. The Ferrari goes left, Porsche goes right. Ferrari tries to take the outside line here. We've got Breed looking on at both of these guys. Side by side they go, the Ferrari and the Porsche. Ferrari's going to run wide there. Breed now having a look as well. The Porsche comes back up alongside. It's a three-way race, and the Ferrari in the inside. Porsche cuts across. Breed running wide now. And he's out of the race. A big mistake made from him. He's going to lose those two for second.
You know what would be awesome to see is them take away the asphalt that put on the outside of Stowe. It never used to be there, but what it does do is it gives guys three different lines going through that corner now that you can actually take the outside line. If you hit a bit of curb, you've still got good traction. What a great battle.
Hendricks takes the position but loses it again. Around the outside, oh, he goes too fast. And he loses that position too. So that was
outbraked himself there.
Got a bit aggressive there, and now loses two position. I think pace-wise, Noor and Noor Hendricks and Bao have Breed, have some pace on him. So I think they'll start pulling away now. But his racecraft certainly was there as another Ferrari, the second Ferrari now. Skitter has
to jump in quickly, Jonathan. I see Alton's got a drive-through, so that's kind of ruined that battle. What's that for?
That's for. It's a drive-through for an earlier infraction where he rejoined the track very unsafely and collected probably about 5 or 6 cars.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, we missed that. So thanks for clearing that up, because people watching this now are kind of going, "Oh, what's he done? It's such a good race." So that's his race pretty much done and dusted. Thanks for clearing that up.
A Ferrari running wide once again there out of cops as they now go through the S's, Maggots S's, and Breed now having a look at this Ferrari. He's got his eyes firmly set on that Noor Hendricks car in front of him, doesn't he?
I think maybe that's just the line for the Ferrari through there, because they both seem to like it.
They do seem to take a lot of grass, don't they?
Yeah, I was going to ask, is that even allowed here?
Oh, big on the replay. Nowhere to go. Coming out of the corner, and you've got a pink car, which you definitely want to miss, and you can't because it's on your racing line. So you've got to put the T-bone to the driver's door.
That pink is literally screaming at him at that stage. It's a bit difficult to look away. As we see Buck coming through there in that Porsche in position.
What I've been looking at now, because we've obviously been so busy commentating on this cool little battle that was happening for 9th and 10th, gap with Junior McCall is kind of stabilized. It wasn't 3.5, it's gone up to 4.2 now. I was hoping to see that Bernard could kind of start clawing things back, but he's maintained that gap as Junior. So I think he's got that wrapped up. But Jason, who we know won Pro-Am last week at Kyalami, seems to have found some clean air. There's a gap of 6 seconds.
Let me into my zone. Let me into my zone. Let me into my zone. Please don't let me in. Gonna play that. Take you down, I'ma say that. I need me a couple dollars. Telling you now, this payback. So I take that. Ask him now, what's stage at? I've been going to the top and I got what they not, so I know that they hate that. But I'm on that. All these lanes gonna zone out. And all these lanes gonna tell you what I did, and they twisting their words till I fall out. But I know that, so I keep what I'm doing cause I own that. And I stay in the lab and I kill everything, but I don't ever move, I'm a Kodak. So finally back in my home. I'm working like so much, that's why I had me a clone. Hands to my soul, now I just leave it there in that phone. All in can't beat me up cause I'm back in my zone now.
Having a great scrap and almost banging wheels.
Cause I'm back in my zone now.
Don't get greedy now, mate. Let's get settled down.
Yeah.
siege. Riley, Taz, yeah. Set me free and give me death, there ain't no other choices. When I lay down and go to sleep, I keep on hearing voices. Little whispers in my head, man, is you fake or loyal? Rhino water, death is sign of baby, pick your poison. These little demons living underneath my bed, creeping. Know the real monster lives above them all, sleeping. That subtle breathing in your closet every single evening. Thought you never see me again, looks can be deceiving. When they hear the sound of the drum, they'll be saying, oh Lord, here they come. Yeah, here we come.
We take play seriously. That's why ATK chooses Omen by HP and Windows 10.
Here we come.
And we are back. Apologies, folks. Just having some technical issues on our side as we join Sean Buck now in the Porsche in 5th position. This race is for position. We've got Wild there taking a slightly defensive line. He cuts across a little bit. Sean was having a look in that Porsche. Oh no! Sean makes a mistake and just gets on the gas a little bit too soon. There gets a bit greedy on the throttle. And Leroux, oh, there's another man to watch, carving his way through once again into 5th place now.
Not only is the racing real, but so is the broadcast. These things do a little technical break from our side, but I mean, it didn't stop the racing action. We can come back and missed anything.
Straight into it.
Carl Jr. is still keeping that gap the same. Mason hasn't closed anything down, and we came right back into that action with the two Porsches. But interesting, so Leon's done his drive-through and his repairs, and he's back into 5th. Can that be right?
I wonder. He certainly got the pace, but that much pace, I'm not sure. Maybe he got lucky. A drive-through also served as repair for that car.
I don't think he served his drive-through, if I'm looking at that. He's only done his repair. Can you clear that up?
But it doesn't look like he's got a mark next to his name, so he might still be legal, unless Leon Leroux's found a way to jump over the system there.
Was it not Miller that got the drive-through penalty early on in the crashes?
I think you're right.
I did see that he served the drive-through and then proceeded to drive out the pits and immediately crash into somebody else. So he's down in 28th position right now, not having a race he wants to forget.
It was Leroux and Miller that collected each other.
I thought you were saying he drove out of the pits and decided to drive to town. And decided. Thanks for clearing it up. We are having a flipping commentator's nightmare as well. We're sitting here commentating on people that weren't involved in an incident.
Oh, here comes Buckner having a look down the inside of Leroux. Thinks better of it. And manages to hold back. Oh, here he comes again, this time placing the car alongside that Aston Martin and easily gets past. He's definitely got the pace on it. The Aston Martin has a slight look there, but that would have been unwise to try and go down the inside there. Porsche gets the power down this time without snapping back on him. I never thought those Porsches were that snappy. So that's quite surprising to see get that little power oversteer moment there and lose the back end of that Porsche.
But the guys have said that's what's so tricky with it. I think Taz was mentioning it last week when you drive them too. That they can rotate very easily. So how you get the car set up is quite critical.
Yeah.
But I think what the guys when I was chatting, I mentioned earlier, chatting to one of the pro drivers, Jason, just in terms of his setup, and he did say that they haven't fiddled around too much from what they had at Kyalami. They've got a very definite setting for qualifying, one that's obviously allows them to push to the edge, but the race they go for a harder setup. It's just going to be better on the tires and just easier to drive the car for 50 minutes.
Exactly, 50 minutes is a long time. And I was watching last week as well, noticing how the Porsches actually push the nose of the car. The front of the car pushes quite a bit. So most of them dialed in understeer. But then when you get to the pro guys, the really quick guys, I mean, in some ways, 2 seconds a lap faster. The car is a lot more neutral. It moves around a lot more, less understeer. But also, I would imagine if that thing bites, it's going to bite hard.
Well, the Porsche is a very tail-happy car to start off with. So I think these guys are going with a more neutral to forgiving setup, where the pro guys seem to be able to handle that loose rear a little bit more. So that's obviously why they are a little bit quicker.
Indeed. Speaking of quick, These two guys, there's nothing in it. One gets ahead, the other one catches up. Leroux now once again starting to hunt down Wild in that Porsche there. Can he get past? Just earlier on, I thought the Porsche had way more pace, but now we've got ourselves a race as they make their way through that fast sweeping right-hander. And the Porsche now still in the lead, gets a bit more of a gap now. Further along though, things staying much the same. The gap growing between McCall and King there. Junior McCall now 5.5 seconds ahead of the chasing Lexus, with Isherwood in the Bentley 3.3 seconds further down the road.
Our wish of a podium battle for second position is kind of disappearing because that little gap is now being opened up. Bernard doing a great job in the Lexus in second place. It opened up nearly a second from when we last looked before our break. So what a pity. It looks like things have stabilized there. So the real race on the track at the moment is this one with Sean Buck and Leon Leroux having a good go.
Indeed, Sean now starting to edge out that lead ever so slightly, and he was giving George Wild a run earlier on, but made a mistake, a little bit of power oversteer there, but now chasing down George Wild again. How do we get the video?
No, it's not opening.
Did you cut that? Tell us if you're going to cut it, because then we know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, still experiencing some technical issues this side, folks, but we will sort them out. Back online though, as we join Sean Buck chasing down George Wild there in the Porsche, and this is once again for position now. Sean is surely telling himself, don't make the same mistake you made earlier on, just keep it together. You're faster than this guy, just catch up with him and get past him.
You know, it's so easy to say, Ernest, but when you're in the car and your heart rate is going at 1,000,000 miles an hour, it's really hard to keep a nice level head, especially when you've made a few mistakes.
Yes.
Now bring yourself back to move yourself forward again is actually really difficult.
Very difficult. But that's the thing though, that's what makes these guys professionals. That's what makes a professional when it comes to this, to any sort of sport and any sort of level. But he did show that he was faster than Wild. So surely that also is playing on his mind, that I've got the pace to take this guy on. I just got to keep this car on the black stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and he's not too far behind, and he knows that he knows he's a bit quicker. So if he can just stop making those little bits, like those little mistakes that he is, he'll definitely catch Wild. But it's a matter of not making those mistakes.
Yep, and as you said, Leon Leroux chasing him down.
Chaz, makes this track so difficult though is to get that perfect, consistent lap together, because there are so many variables. Like you spoke about those corners that flow one into the other, and it's like mess up one, you're struggling for 3 or 4 corners down the road, you know. So it's a really technical track. This I love it. It's such a challenge for the drivers.
Yeah, it definitely is, and you can see that it does have an effect on the drivers a lot. So, I mean, if you start making mistakes in one corner, that mistake ends up happening in the next corner as well. So I think, just keeping a level head is what you need to do, and especially in these long races. Otherwise, you end up falling off too far off the pack.
I suppose it's a rhythm you talk about as a driver. You know, you want to get into that zone. You just clocking lap after lap after lap, you know.
And we just saw on screen now Sean Skitter there getting a little bit of oversteer there, and that's exactly what breaks a rhythm. Unless you're pushing hard and it's a wet race and you need to be on that limit all the time, and that's the zone you go to. But with these cars, it's not tidy that when you do have moments like that, it kind of takes you away from that zone you were talking about.
Yeah, so it's almost like you got to be able to bring yourself back, but when you're pushing to catch the car in front of you, you're always trying a little bit harder on the brakes, getting on the gas a little bit earlier. So it's almost like you've got to stop racing the car and just actually drive the car in order to catch the person in front of you.
So it's not about trying to set the fastest lap time. It's about doing hot laps, trying to get all those laps as consistently fast as possible. The Audi cuts off the Porsche there of Riddle in the Riddle there in the Porsche.
Very interesting thing that you're talking about there is finding that pace that you can deliver lap after lap, and not getting involved in dogfights, because it isn't going to help you. But action we're seeing here now is critical. If you remember how the points work, literally the guy in 10th place is going to score the last available point in the series. So this little battle around there is really awesome.
Yeah, this little battle here, that is Roots there in the Porsche, in the Audi, and he is in 11th position. Behind him, Riddle and Joubert in the Mercedes-Benz looking on. I love these three-way battles. You've got somebody sneaking up slowly from behind, and there's a battle happening in front, and now we've got ourselves a race. Porsche catching all the way up to Roots now. He does seem to have the pace. He runs a little bit wide, but the AMG in the background just biding his time. That's Joubert there, and Alton Bao one click back in the Porsche, now back in the race. We saw Alton up further up the grid, much further up the grid earlier on, and now he's back in 14th.
He's in 14th after doing his drive-through and back in with a shot here. So that's some impressive driving. Well done.
Stuff. He's keeping the car on the track and doing well. Clinton Riddle having a look at Roots there in the Audi. This is going to be a battle that's going to unfold right in front of our eyes here.
And these guys are actually all out of the points.
Yeah.
So they, even if they do get ahead of the Audi, they still have a long way up the road to catch that 10th place, to get that one little...
Porsche now looking at Nico Roots. Porsche side by side. Riddle there next to Nico Roots. And he gets it. He gets it. Roots gets pushed back in the Audi. Riddle gets past. And now, here comes the Mercedes-Benz AMG now. Joubert in the Bernard Joubert there in the Mercedes-Benz gives him a bit of a touch. Gives Roots a bit of a touch. The Porsche runs wide. That means he's going to get back stuck into this race. And side by side go the Audi. Oh, the Porsche's running wide there again. The Porsche might have a problem. Lots of understeer from the Porsche as the Audi and the Mercedes touch once again. They're going into the fast right-hander now. Who's going to take this one? Oh, Audi gets it wide there and Porsche comes past. That is Bao there getting involved as well.
Alton's actually benefited from this battle big time. He's just sort of driven right past both of them while they were trying to go 2 into 1 through what is such a flippin' mad, crazy fast corner through Stone. Big commitment.
Big commitment there, and Alton once again getting the better of that. Some great driving there from him, just sliding his way through and saying, thank you guys, I'll take those 2 positions. I'll take those 2 positions right now.
Lamborghini. Alton's been in the walls though. His car is looking a little bit different.
A little worse for wear.
Yeah.
Nothing different to how his car looks on a Polo Cup weekend, so he's used to it.
That Lamborghini now also getting involved here. Nice to see a Lambo finally. Got Smith there. Dieval Smith there, I think that is.
Yeah.
Dale Smith in the Lamborghini. Also having a look at that Audi now. And Nico Roots. Oh, running wide there. Here comes the Lamborghini now. Lamborghini down the inside has a look. Nico goes defensive.
It's just a corner, as you said. I mean, this is the famous set of corners at Silverstone, and it's just about making the most of it. And the car's bouncing around quite a bit.
And Audis do though. The Audis move around a lot on their suspension. Their suspensions does seem to be quite a bit more compliant than some of the other cars. Coming into the right hand.
That's a great corner. Like I said earlier, there's so many lines through there because have a look, they've put a little marker there that you can't exceed the track limits. But the guys know if they push a bit hard onto the curbing in dry conditions, they can. You can always defend and attack up the inside. Someone's made a mistake there. One of the Porsches running very, very wide. I wonder, it wasn't Alton. I wonder who that might have been.
We're on Buck now at the moment. If we can get the camera further back to that battle we saw earlier on. Buck is catching up to Wild though, but still not quite within striking distance is Sean Buck.
But if you remember, he was 2.5 seconds back, so he's closed that down to nearly half a second. He's flashing ready. So George is now starting.
He's got the pace. It's so exciting to watch them hunt each other down like this because he has been hunting him down, as you said, 2.5 seconds earlier on, knowing that he was going to be faster. He almost had the overtake and then made a mistake, oversteered earlier on, but now starting to hang on to the back of this bumper. Look at that. Now really close within striking distance.
I think Leon LaRue in the Aston a little bit further back is hoping that these two are going to fall over each other into the battle, and that happens easy. Oh, you see, getting on the power, it's really was short. We saw him do that earlier. I think
Exactly.
you've got that red mist. You can smell the guy in front of you. You want to accelerate a little bit sooner than you should, and you end up losing the patience and losing the back end and losing that opportunity.
And there's two things that's going on there. You got to wonder. I mean, is he knowingly adding a little bit of extra throttle and then figuring that out, or is he going to make that mistake again when it counts? And we're going to actually watch that unfold now, because the car's obviously quite snappy, but he needs to know that he cannot get on the throttle that 5-10% extra on exit, because the car doesn't like it at all.
Yeah, but when you're in the hands, you have no control over the throttle of yours. You
That's
just
the
want to
thing.
keep going. So
That's why you often see the chasing car come into view with a big oversteer slide, just trying to get that power down. And it makes for exciting racing to watch. As we look at Sean Buck now. Sean Buck chasing down Wild in the other Porsche.
It's been a good battle. I mean, just to see what Tasman said. That's what I was mentioning earlier. It's like, it's just kind of keeping that heart rate in check, and just imagine that car's not there. Keep putting your laps together like you have been. But it's so difficult when you sense that opportunity. They're getting into back markers. They're essentially getting well out of the way, not interfering with us. Yeah. Comes the opportunity here, because through this little technical section, if you actually line the car up perfectly, you get a really good run down the hanger straight, and then that opportunity through Stowe is going to exist. So let's have a look. He looks like he's a lot closer on this lap.
So, and you can see he's having a look. He's trying to figure out where is going to be the moment to overtake George there in the Porsche up front. But now's not the time to make mistakes. Now's the time to be consistent. 0.3 of a second in it between these two guys. Absolutely nothing. And the pressure that George must be feeling in that Porsche up front now must be tremendous. He's in 4th position. He's 1 position away from a podium. He doesn't want to lose this now, as they make their way across that the finish line there.
I tell you, he's not feeling any pressure at the moment. His junior McCall. I mean, have a look at that. Nearly 7 seconds gap that he's opened up over second. So haven't seen much of him, and we were raving about him last week at 12 years of age, and a couple of mistakes in the race, but at the moment having the perfect dream second round outing here in the Pro Series.
And he's held it together in the ways that we spoke about as well, which is very commendable. He's fixed those things that we spoke about last week. The mistakes that he made last week, certainly wasn't making those mistakes today. And even when going through cops side by side, managed to hold it together there. Fantastic driving from him so far.
Oh, he's definitely learned his lesson. I mean, he learned it really fast as well. He was really quick at Kyalami, and he's come back again and he's been fast, and this time he's kept it all together. There's still 11 minutes left of the race though, so
Audi oversteered there. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I just as you said that Audi of Nico Roots oversteered through that corner there, and coming through Abbey now.
You know who's gone missing is Alton Bow. So we were just raving about how he had got onto that like 12th, 13th place battle. I don't see him anywhere. I don't know if he's made a mistake. And maybe he's
no. You can see. Oh, the Aston Martin has a look now. That's Riddle in the Aston. Sorry, that's you can see it looks like it in the Aston. And Roots saying no. Closes the door once again. Roots coming out on top in that race in the Audi. I think Roots has got 10 minutes of hell in front of him. He's got a chasing pack behind him. They do seem to be clearly a bit faster than him, and they're all bunching up behind him as Riddle now comes in the Porsche, and I think Roots is going to have to go very defensive for these last couple of laps.
I really want to know, I don't know if you guys are noticing it, but they're using a lot of track, or they're exceeding a lot of track limits.
Yeah.
Do they not get penalties for this? I know that a lot of the games do give them penalties, especially if they're running off the track like that. I mean, you get a few chances, but I've been noticing they've even been grass cutting. So I'd like to know from Jonathan, like, how is it actually monitored?
Our in-house steward.
Yeah, the game is very good at applying corner cutting restrictions to the guys. You get 3 warnings. On your 4th corner cut, you'll get a stop go 30 penalty. We're not seeing a lot of stop go 30 penalties, which means that the guys are maybe doing their cut, but then, not getting more warnings as they go, or they're pushing the limits of that.
I think so. I think the guys know where the number 13 makes a mistake there. The guys know where the maximum cut is, and that's what they're taking.
Yeah,
and then battle not taking place.
And then what also happens is that, a lot of times you'll have to cut a corner to avoid an incident or something. So if you back off the throttle and you lose time,
they touch. Oh no, Skitter and Noor Hendricks were having a fantastic battle there, and just one little touch is all it takes to push them way back down the field. They didn't lose any positions though, looks like it. Still in 8th and 9th, but they have swapped though, or 9th and 10th. But man, that was unnecessary. That was totally unnecessary.
John, just to pick up on what you were saying there. So, I'm sure the game will look at, have you gained an advantage by cutting the corner? A lot of the times you might be making a mistake running wide, no advantage is gained. It's not going to issue that track limit warning, I would assume.
Yeah, so as long as the driver does not gain time out of it. So if he backs out of it, the game will let it slide. Yeah, it is pretty accurate in how it does it, but in the race it's maybe slightly more lenient than in a qualifying session, for example.
Well, that was an unusual show of sportsmanship there. I think the Porsche of Breed let through the Ferrari there. I think he might have let him through. Looks like it.
That was well picked up, because I think he could have found himself in Jonathan's radar, causing
You don't want to get in Jonathan's radar. That's something you don't want.
Really, really well done. That for me is good racing. Listen, I made a mistake. Sorry, dude. Take your position back. It's great.
Ferrari just licking the part there now, up ahead. Sean Skitter there up ahead of Breed in the Porsche. And the front three pretty much sorted out. We've got Junior McCall in first place there. King behind him by 8.4 seconds in the Lexus. Isherwood in the Bentley, 3.3 seconds further back.
That
Sean
gap
Buck
hasn't got bigger or decreased. They doing the same lap times, lap for lap.
It's and at the moment, with 6 minutes left, I think these guys have that consistency in them, and neither is able to push harder or get away or close the gap. With Sean Buck now in 4th place, Leon Leroux in 5th, and some of those familiar names have bubbled to the top, haven't they?
Yeah, no, they definitely have, but that's what we said was going to come from Kyalami. We were going to see a similar front pack, and I think that's because the tracks have those similar characteristics, but I think we're going to start seeing jumps in the front when they start going to the different tracks.
I suppose as well. You're going to, even in the Pro-Am, you're going to get that split now. We'll end up having our usual suspects in the top 10, and then battles like we've been having now for like 11th and 12th, which are really exciting to watch.
Quite exciting.
Usual guys. It's nice to see. A couple of new guys there, because I don't recall Sean Buck from last week. I really don't, and Bernard King as well. So 2 new guys in the top 10, which is great. But these guys now winding down the clock with like 6 minutes to go. There are enough gaps in that top 10. There are no real battles. Everyone just keeps it safe, but the action is further back in the field, like 30-second gap for the last point scoring position. So these guys are just racing for the fun of it now.
Well, you're not joking about the action being further at the back, as we go to Dale Smith now in the Lamborghini there behind Riddle in the Porsche. And this is one of the on-track battles. They've got 5 minutes left. This is for 11th position. And don't think that these guys aren't going to race hard for that position, as what looks like Lamborghini goes down the inside, gets the position, takes it, and
really clean pass through Stone.
Very clean pass. And looks like another car see up further back, also trying to have a look there.
He's got a 5-second penalty at the end, so it's going to drop him down some way, which is obviously a bit of a pity for him. So
what a pity. The Lamborghini now suddenly having some pace on it, could easily making a gap, and now catching up with the car in front as well. Is this one of our dark horses here? I wonder what times he's doing at the moment.
But like I looked at the time now, it was a 42-second gap from 10th place to 11. So I mean, these guys, they're not going to close that. So
Nah, definitely not. Certainly not. The Lambo is 2.8 seconds further back, but then again, we've only got 4 minutes left. That's it, 4 minutes left. They've just now, everybody now has just got to keep it together and try and maintain position. Lamborghini gets sideways. Oh, this is why. There's an Audi in the middle. Oh no! I think someone collected that Audi or just missed him. That's an Audi stuck. That could be Swanepoel. They're stuck on the middle of the track.
Sia took some proper evasive actions there for that Audi sitting on the racing line.
Was that Roots there? Was that Roots? Nico Roots in an Audi could have been.
20 seconds ahead. I'm saying to you, the gap between 10th and 11th is 5 seconds. So that must be another back marker that's obviously spun. There's damage on that Lexus as well, the 777, not looking so cool.
Oh, not looking cool at all. As we get eyes on Walker in the 777 Lexus, looking very much worse for wear.
Bonnet looks like it's not helping the air.
There's no downforce up front there, that's for sure.
So that I'm sure was a back marker. We at Audi that spun because there's such a big gap to Roots.
We're on looking now at Clinton Riddle in that Porsche over there, the front 6 Porsche. And he's down in 13th position.
So these are back markers that they're sitting and playing with now. So this pink Porsche, remember?
Yes, I do remember the pink Porsche.
We're on the racing line. So this is Riddle just dealing with some back markers. And again,
that's Ian. That's Ian in the 714 Porsche over there. And as you say, way further down the line. That's 19th position, Ian McKenzie in 19th position there. Also, as you said, one of the back markers.
Oh, we actually our first look at Jason. We haven't actually seen much of Jason in this race.
Yep.
So we see him in 3rd.
Now, what's going on here? Is this Jason issue with right behind King? The gap now down to 0.3 of a second. What just happened here, folks? Is that him? We're going to have a look and see if that is the Lexus. Did that Lexus have an incident earlier on? We're going to have to wait and see. He's only 0.3 of a second behind by the looks of things. We're just waiting for confirmation that that is Bernard King in the Lexus. Oh, we've got confirmation. We've got an on-track race now, Marius, for 2nd position, coming down to the last 2 laps. 1 minute and 50 seconds left. We've got Isherwood chasing down Bernard King. Isherwood in the Bentley, King in the Lexus.
We obviously missed something. Bernard must have made a massive mistake because he had a very healthy lead and looked like it was all done and dusted. But this is the battle that we're looking for. A minute to go, so probably 1 lap after this. If I look at where they are on the circuit now, so this is going to be grandstand finish.
Don't worry about that Porsche in the back there. He's one of the back markers. Duggan there further down the field. Down in 14th position, but this race now is King versus Isherwood. Here we go, the last couple of laps now, and these guys are racing to the flag. So when the race ends, they will race to the flag. The Bentley goes in hot. I knew that was a bit fast there for that Bentley. Very fast for that Bentley. Now he is seeing King in his sights right now as they go through the sweeping bends. Now King holding momentum there, looking good. The Bentley though has certainly got some pace all of a sudden.
That was great.
Definitely being excited, that's for sure.
That was great car control because he actually pulled that back so well because that is his full commitment going through that right-hander. He has the opportunity, if he's just not close enough, coming down the old hanger straight into Stowe. It is a real pity because that's one of the big overtake opportunities. But obviously now he's heading into the next little complex, which is critical, heading into Vale where there's that heavy braking.
Well, look at that. He did manage to catch up into Stowe there, as you were saying. That's an opportunity wasted, but he managed to catch up through the club section now. And that Porsche also having a look there. But that Porsche better stay out of this race. This is for podium position, 2nd and 3rd. Who's going to take 2nd position? Here comes the last 10 seconds. I think we might have 1 lap left. We're going to wait and see if they have to do an extra lap. Going through the farm curves now. And that Lexus is in the lead. The Bentley just simply hunting it down on the brakes there. Lexus needs to keep it together. Bentley gets alongside there, has a look. They're going through a tight left-hander now. The Bentley's going to try and sneak down the inside. Yes, he does. The Bentley gets alongside. They're now going left again. The Bentley's got the line. Lexus chasing him down. Lexus not giving up, running wide there, but the Bentley's in the lead. Lexus nose to tail. They're coming now down the main one of these sections of the Wellington Straight over here into Luffield now, the left-hander, and they're going to go across the finish line. If that checkered flag is out, Isherwood would have stolen second position in the most dramatic of fashions. Isherwood.
What a great move through that new arena section. That was so well done. Got his car stopped and turned, and Bernard ran just a little bit deep. He got it done and dusted. That's
the flag is out. He's going to be so happy with that. Isherwood is going to be absolutely ecstatic with that.
The race
second position.
Second today, so that's solid consistency. But Junior McCall doing donuts, you just saw.
Yeah, what else are you going to expect from a 12-year-old?
No, but that was a very good drive. I mean, he finished the race 12.8 seconds ahead of the next guy.
Yeah, a year for every year that he's been on the planet, 12.8 seconds ahead. Unbelievable gap there, really separating himself from the herd here and showing that he is most certainly a pro, at least pro-am level winner, but certainly a pro caliber racer.
Well, it'd be nice to see him in the pro class for the next race.
Yeah, let's see how he does for the next race. The only one to do 58 here today. And so far, so good from Junior McCall. Gets that win and erases any memory of the first race of the season. As we watch the rest of the guys, Raymond Duggan coming through now.
That's his first points in the Pro Series, because obviously last week he scored nothing. These are his first points. So maybe Kyalami round one will be one of the throwaway races for him. So that was a solid comeback drive.
I think that might just be the case. He's going to want to forget what happened last week. Well, that's it for this race. We'll be right back after this break.
Let me into my zone. 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 Please don't let me in. Now we're saying I've been going to the top and I got what it now, so I know that I hate that. All these lanes gonna zone out, and all these lanes gonna tell you what I did, and they twist and they bust till I fall out. But I know that, so I keep what I'm doing cause I own that. And I stay in the lab and I kill everything, but I don't ever move. I'm a cold so I'm finally back in my home. I'm working, I saw no other that's why I had me a clone. To my soul, that I just leave it there. All in, can't leave me up cause I'm back in my zone now.
Having a great scrap and almost bagging wheels.
Cause I'm back in my zone now.
Don't get greedy now, mate. That's good. Settle down.
Wow, what a race, what a race. Look at Junior McCall. There's a reason they call him Junior. Junior McCall taking the top spot there. I'm blown away. I'm blown away by his performance today, Marius.
And we didn't get, sadly, to watch much of him on track because he was so flipping far ahead. But complete turnaround from last weekend. And while everyone else was falling over themselves, he just head down, put clean laps together. What a dominant drive. Obviously, grandstand finish for us. We're assuming that we missed it. Bernard King, a healthy gap of about 3.5 seconds over Jason Isherwood. Must have made a mistake, and we ended up with 1.5 minutes to go in the race and a grandstand finish. And Jason getting that move done, finishing in second place. So 2 solid outings for him, winning last weekend, second today. Great. And welcome to Pro Series.
Welcome to the winner's circle for Junior McCall. Welcome to the winner's circle for Junior McCall indeed. And again, as you said, a fantastic race. And it was good to see some dicing there on the last lap for that second position. Unbelievable stuff. You know, the racing, it delivered again. We now look at Junior McCall, as I said, in the top spot there in second place. Jason Isherwood, our winner from last week in the Bentley. So he's got 2 podiums now. And Bernard King there in third position. Third position there in the Lexus RCF, a car that I most certainly didn't think to see in the top 3. And I suppose we also didn't think we'd see the Bentley Continental in the top 3 either, Marius, but here we are.
Listen, Taz will moan at you and say, no, we should have seen the Bentley there, because obviously we know Jordan won in that Bentley at Silverstone a couple of weeks back in their E-Series race that they did there. So the car is quick. I'm excited. It's great to see that Lexus in the top 3. I'm excited that we've actually got one that will be racing in the pro race that is coming up, driven by Wesley Hampson, who was in the amateurs last weekend. So the car obviously has some pace. It's fantastic racing. I mean, the conditions are perfect. You know, chatting to Jonathan earlier, he was saying track temperatures like 36. So the games really allowed them the perfect environment to drive to the max, race as hard as possible. At Silverstone, I mean, I had my jacket and scarf ready. I thought I might have some bad weather, but it looks like here in South Africa, it looks the same in the UK. So awesome.
Yeah, I was hoping for some weather like that as well. Some typical UK weather would have been lovely, but I think we're going to have to wait till later on in the season for that. I most certainly am wanting to see who are going to be the guys that perform in the rain. And of course, the rain being the ultimate equalizer, we'll see lots of mistakes happening as well. And that's where the action comes in. At least the paint, any paint swapping is not as expensive as the real deal. So it's not too I don't feel too guilty to want to see these guys rub a little bit of paint here and there.
I think we should let Tasman make that call. So we just do ching chong cha, and anytime Taz can just decide when it's going to rain, when it's going to sunshine.
I'm happy with that.
I'm not a fan of the rain, so I vote for sunshine.
I used to love driving in the rain until I crashed in the rain, because that's when you realize how quickly you're going. When you're going backwards at the same speed, you quickly realize how fast you're actually going.
Yeah, but 1 minute you fast in the rain, and then the next session you slow in the rain. It's very confusing. Okay, well, that's me. I don't know about anyone.
What the racing the rain does give us is it just evens out the pack, you know. So we see it in race like Formula One in the real world. You know, suddenly guys that are on mid pack, everyone's now on an equal footing, because the setup isn't that critical. So it'd actually be quite fun to have a seeding session in the rain.
Oh, you're giving the guys ideas now, Marius. You're giving them ideas, and I like it.
Pro-ams big time.
I think that'll mix things up. That'll certainly mix things up. And what I like about the series, and it was something that I was trying to wrap my head around in the beginning, is the way that it does get mixed up. The way that the seeding throws the cat between the pigeons, so to speak. You know, just mixes things up nicely, and you get guys like Junior McCall bubbling through to the top of the pile.
Oh, there's no guarantee. You know, a great result on one weekend, you've got to go out the next weekend and do the exact same thing again. We've seen that now. You'll watch when we get into our pro race in a couple of moments' time. And basically the top 4 that were in amateurs at Kyalami are now going to be racing in this. So the opportunity is there. But I think to throw rain into a race is one thing. I think it'd be great in that seeding. Hope they hear me. I'm an evil bugger.
I, for one, hope they hear you too. I'd love to see some spice thrown into what has already been quite a spicy season so far. I mean, just 2 races in, and the action is absolutely non-stop. And even when there is a lull in the action, there are still races in the mid and back of the field. There's always racing, and the cars there does seem to be a little bit of disparity between some of the cars, which is really nice. We see cars perform in different areas, so we get to see guys catch up, we get to see guys pull away, and we get to see guys mix it up.
Also, I mean, this really does come down to this is racing for real, because the setup is crucial on these cars. Track temperature and the tire pressures that you're running, critical to be able to set a good, consistent lap pace, and that's what we're seeing. So the difference between the guys at the top and the guys further back in the field, it literally is that. This isn't some massive budget thing that you find in Formula One. This is literally just by getting your car set up right. So it's going to come, and I think the racing is just going to get closer and closer and closer as we go through our 12 rounds. Up back at Kyalami, where we started in November, And I think next week or 2 weeks' time at Zandvoort is going to be really interesting because that is a tricky track to get your head around as well. So that's going to be really exciting.
Well, I do think Kyalami is going to be interesting. We're actually going to be there at the circuit for the end of the year. And I, for one, cannot wait. But another thing I cannot wait for, Marius, as I bang my hands on my desk at home, is the pro race. What is going to happen here? The guys are ready to go qualifying. The pro race starts very shortly. And we're going to find out soon enough who is at the top of that pile with Zahir Issa, so far the quickest in practice yesterday.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the usual story from what we saw last weekend. Just looking at the seeding yesterday, he was a good 4 to 6 tenths, I think, quicker than anyone else. And then there was a bit of a drop off the rest of the pack. I think it's going to be for him to put it on pole and get off the line well. And I think then it's going to be goodbye and good night. It's for the other guys to have a go into turn one and make a bit of a battle out of it. But I think he is the guy to beat.
Sure.
I do hope it's not going to be like that. We obviously want to see a little bit more of a race in the front. Zaire doesn't, but we do.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. That's the thing about any sport. As a fan, I want to see competition. I want to see these guys battle it out. I don't want to see Zaire trounce these guys. So I'm hoping that Jordan, our at least second seed in that category, is going to give him something to think about. So
I don't know if they know that, but we are reversing the grid for the race. We haven't told the guys yet.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, I forgot to tell them as well, so it's perfect. So
if they were in driver's briefing, they'll know.
Opportunity to improve over the course of the season, and someone like Junior McCall, you don't want to throw him with the mistakes that he made last week. You don't want to throw him in with the pros. You want to give him the opportunity to win. He gets that experience of what it's like to win and what it's like to lead, and now gets to build on that going into next week's race. So far so good from Junior McCall. Well done, Jason and King as well. I mean, these guys class drives from the top 5 as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, if they keep staying consistent like they are, you never know who's going to get kicked out of the pro class. And these guys could be finishing quite far up in the pro class eventually.
Yep. Well, next up, we've got the pro division. I'm so excited, guys. I'm so excited. We just got the signal now to wrap it up. We are about to go racing in the pro division. Folks, qualifying up next. We'll be right back with this.
My zone, let me into my zone. Let me into my zone. Let me into my zone. Please don't let me in. Take you down, I'm faded. I need me a couple dollars. Telling you now, just pay back. So I pay that. Ask them now, what's changing? I've been going to the top and I got what they not, so I know that they hate that. But I'm on that. All these men gonna zone out. And all these men gonna tell you what I did and they twisting their words till I find out. But I know that, so I keep what I'm doing cause I own that. And I stay in the lab and I kill everything, but I don't ever move from a code. So finally back in my home. I'm working like so much, that's why I had me a drum. It's my soul, all in, can't beat me up cause I'm back in my zone now.
Having a great scrap and almost